What's going on, everybody? Man, Eric Wilson here of Sports Arena on a Monday night. And like I said earlier today, football is back, and we are oh so thankful. So, the rest of this month, throughout the month of August, the entire Sports Arena crew, myself, Megan, Mike, Ty, Ray, and John, we're going to be giving you our preseason prediction. But we're also going to remind us, I'll put it to you like this: most of us, our predictions were wrong. Some of us hit the nail on the head, and some of us just gave a team a little too much credit. But we'll get to that in a moment. But tonight, we are starting with the AFC West, the Broncos, the Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Chargers. But let me get the crew in here. I got my co-host Ray Lynn alongside Mike Caratanudo and John Shears in the building. Gentlemen, good evening. What's going on? How are you?
Awake.
I'm just glad we're not starting in the AFC East because I don't have to hear John about Miami or the NFC East where I got to hear Mike about Dallas. We started in the best division in football.
Hey, what about Eric and Philly? If you're gonna say it, say Eric and Philly too.
He's a little less biased. Like he talked, but you get crazy about the Cowboys.
Eric, am I not fair? I might love
a little less biased. What you talking about?
I will say this: Mike and I are probably the two most unbiased, and we are more fair about our teams, except when there are BS calls and refereeing and officiating and this, that, and the third. Mike and I sometimes do get in our feelings, but Raylin, since you brought that up, just to kind of segue, that is next Monday and Wednesday. It is the AFC East and the NFC East, so you're gonna have to deal with that next week.
Calling in sick.
All right, let's remind the people of last year with regard to the AFC West. As Raylin said, probably the best division, if not the best division in all of football. So here is where we all decided last season we were going to go with the Broncos, the Chargers, the Raiders, and the Chiefs. Now, didn't go so well for a bunch of us. As you can see here, their records, like I said, we didn't give enough love to Denver. We gave a little too much love, or we're kind of right on the money with the Chargers. We all owe the Oakland, now Las Vegas Raiders an apology.
Megan.
And yes, Megan. Myself included in that one. John, you ain't that far behind. Neither is Ty. But, you know, we all expected Kansas City to win that division, and we were spot on. Like I said last week, even though at one point they were, in fact, last in the standings within that division. But that's where we're going to start tonight. We're going to start with the Kansas City Chiefs. You see the schedule right there on the screen. They start in Arizona. Then they have a divisional rival in the Chargers, and the rest you see as it goes on. So, Ray, since you are new to this, sir, you have not been a part of this, I'm going to let you go first when discussing the Kansas City Chiefs and what you think, sir, their record might be to this year.
So for starters, I looked up and down the schedule of each team in this division, and I did something that I thought was very fair and very feasible. I started every team at 3-3 because I think they're going to split, right? I think every team in this division is good enough to win at home and or go on the other team's field and beat them. So I think they're all going to go 3-3 in the division. Best case scenario is 4-2. Worst case, like nobody's going to go 6-0 in this division at all. Not going to happen. And nobody's going to go 0-6. They're all too good. Right. So I started everybody at 3-3 down. I went up and down their schedule. I thought coming in like today, as early as 5 hours ago, I thought this was Kansas City's division to lose until further notice. They will not win the division. Still going to have a very good record. All four teams could win 10 games. I got Kansas City sitting at about 10-7 or 11-6. And that let's count 11-6. So John, don't say I didn't give a number, right? The tough thing about them is they have an early bye. They buys in week 8, and then they finish the season with 5 out of their last 8 on the road, right? They got week 11 at LA, week 13 at Cincinnati, week 14 at Denver, week 18 at Las Vegas, and then in between there, they get the Rams at home. So it's going to be tough sledding for them to finish out the year. I got them at 11-6, second in the division. I'll get to first later. But I got the Chiefs at 11-6. They still gonna make noise in the playoffs. Mahomes is still gonna have an MVP caliber year. Kelsey's still the best tight end in football. I think Juju Smith-Schuster is gonna have a resurgence in his career. So they'll still be very good. But 11-6. That's why I got the Chiefs.
Okay, so 11-6 is where he got him. Now, John Shear, and again, let me remind the people just so they can see this. Let me pull this up here, John, so that you are aware of what you, sir, did last year. All right. So, John Shear, you in fact said that the Kansas City Chiefs last year would go 13-4. Now, ultimately, John, I believe you were only off by a
One game.
game,
Yep.
by one game. They wound up going 12-5. So, when you see that, John, take that into consideration. But give me your thoughts on the Chiefs this year.
Yeah, if you want to pull up that schedule, I have them going about 9-8. I just don't see it without Tyreek Hill. 3-time All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler. You lose him. You can talk about Travis Kelce all you want, but guess what? Whenever you double him, which teams are going to do a lot of, you're going to have to go elsewhere. I just look at this gauntlet. Even though there's no D-Hop, you still got the Cardinals, Chargers, Colts, Bucks. You get the Raiders, who everybody thinks is going to be good. Then you get the Bills and you get the Niners. That's murderer's row the first 7 weeks. Then you get the Titans and Jags. I mean, that's easy right there. Aside from Derrick Henry, there's nothing in Tennessee. Chargers, Rams, Bengals, Broncos. And you get 2 bye weeks with the Texans and Seahawks. You get the Broncos again, who I don't think will be that good. And then you get the Raiders again. So 9-8, I think that's fair for the Chiefs. They're not going to fall off a cliff, but at the same time, they're not the number 1 seed anymore without Tyreek Hill. And the defense the offense was covering up the defense for so long. But without Tyreek Hill, the offense comes back down to earth in some degree, and I think that hurts the defense even more because the defense sucks. So they're going 9-8. They're not making the playoffs.
Hey, can I chime in there real quick? I mean, I know you got to get Mike's numbers. I'm trying to figure out how John said, I don't have him falling off a cliff. Then he goes 9-8, missing the playoffs.
It's not falling off a cliff. Falling off a cliff is
They've been to 4
wins.
straight AFC championship games.
They
not
lost
making the
a
playoffs.
3-time All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler, the fastest man in the world.
Right, that's fine if that's your take. But for 4 AFC championship games, not making the playoffs is falling off a cliff. You could pencil them in for 12 wins every year.
Remember when the Patriots lost Tom Brady? Look what happened to them. When you lose a great player,
no.
Things happen to your
team. You're comparing losing Tom. The equivalent of that would be losing Patrick Mahomes. They didn't lose Patrick Mahomes. Now you bring up Tom Brady, a guy who year in and year out, the Patriots guys wanted to get paid. They said, you can go elsewhere. We'll plug and play. We'll play with Wes Welker as our number 1 receiver. We'll play with Damian Amendola as our number 1 receiver. We'll play with Randy Moss as our number 1 receiver. In fact, we'll win a Super Bowl with Deion Branch as our number 1 guy.
Amendola and Randy Moss in a sense. Please don't ever put them in
But you're making my point for me. That's what New England did. You brought up Tom Brady. New England year in and year out said, we'll put whoever out there. Our system will do what our system does. I keep reminding people that when Tyreek Hill missed time, yeah, but that's Tom Brady. KC ain't losing Patrick Mahomes.
They're losing Tyreek Hill. He's 3-time All-Pro. How do you replace that? The fastest man in the world. How do you replace that?
I just explained it, right? We ain't talking about losing Patrick Mahomes.
You literally told me Juju Smith-Schuster's going to have
he doesn't have to be that. What I'm telling you is when Tyreek Hill missed time, Mahomes went out there and found nobody.
Stop. 4 games, stop it. It's 17 games. It's a different story.
In the sample size we saw Mahomes can go out and be effective without Tyreek Hill. I don't know where this notion came from.
One of those 4 games was against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Where did this notion come from that Tyreek Hill made him?
I didn't say he made him, but the team will come back down. You got to have Travis Kelce.
You know what's a bigger loss than Tyreek Hill? Tyrann Mathieu is a bigger loss than Tyreek Hill.
No, not at all. That defense was already garbage, and the offense covered up for.
And you lost
the offense covered up
had.
For. Like I'm saying, the offense covered up for them.
How about this? We'll make a friendly wager on whether or not they make the playoffs because I think that's absurd. I think that is absolutely absurd.
You know me a dinner just like Eric does.
Yeah, that's absolutely absurd. They're not going to fall off a cliff.
You're going to say book it? Please book it. Go ahead. Whatever you're going to say, book it.
We'll talk.
All right. First off, book it is my line, John. So don't be giving my line to other people. You got to ask permission for me to use my line. Book it, okay?
I don't want no copyright.
Exactly. Let me get Mike Carragnudo in here. So, Mike, you've heard Ray at 11-6. You've heard John at 9-8. So let me remind you, sir, Mr. Carragnudo, just as a reminder.
Yeah, 15-2. I know.
You said 15-2, sir. Now that did not go in your way. You gave them 3 more games. So, Mike Carragnudo, I'm going to give you the floor, sir. Take it.
Well, Raylan stole a little bit of my thunder with 3-3 because again, this division, just like last year when we were talking about the NFC West, I said chances are 3-3, and if somebody goes 4-2, it could happen. But I look at it like this. I mean, I'm with them 3-3 on that. They're not going to be 9-8 and fall off a cliff because John can talk about one player. Hence, one player can make a difference. Doesn't make the whole team. Plus, like I always say, Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy are still there. Oh, and Mr. I know I lose people on defense, but my defenses play insane in December and January. Steve Spagnuolo happens to still be there. So, with that said, though, I like Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I mean, they add him again. He had good years under with Aaron Rodgers, and he's going to Patrick Mahomes. So I don't see why he can't. Juju, I'm with agreeing with Raylan way too much, but I'm with him on that. I think Juju again he'll still be that kind of number 2-ish. I don't think he'll be that number 1 because Kelsey is going to alleviate a lot of that. So I just think it's going to be huge when you go for Juju to go to that. So I'm not going to go 15-2 again, Eric. I'm not going to be stubborn, but I'm going 11-6 too. I just think they go 11-6 and they. Again, it's Patrick Mahomes, and I know he got scrutinized last year. I don't see them, and again, that is a tough start to the season. I agree, but I don't see the Chiefs getting off to a slow start either, like they did last year and getting ready. So Tyrann Mathieu is a huge loss, and no, their defense wasn't trash, but that is a huge loss for them. So we'll see what they can muster up in the beginning of the season. But I think offensively, they're going to come out scoring a ton of points, man. I mean, I like. Again, you have to add those receivers. No, they're not faster than Tyreek Hill, but I mean, pattern-wise, you can get Scantling across the middle. He can even alleviate pressure off of Kelsey too. So it'll be interesting, but again, Andy Reid's not gonna take a crap with that team.
All right, fair enough. So Mike's going 11-6. Ray's going 11-6. John is going 9-8. So let me be very clear here. I think the one point that everybody hit the nail on the head is it's the Kansas City Chiefs, with the exception of John, of course. And Raylan made a great point. Their basement, if you will, has been an AFC championship or Super Bowl in the Eric Bieniemy, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes era. So when I look at this schedule, listen, you're playing the AFC South. Shout out to our boy Mac Patton. We'll have him on when that comes up. Honestly, Matt Ryan, first year in Indianapolis. Okay, he's going to have to get himself together and figure out how either give the ball to Jonathan Taylor and get out the way, or do what you always do, win games or throw people out of games. Tennessee, I think Mike Vrabel and that entire squad is just so dysfunctional right now. I don't know what they're going to do. Good luck, Ryan Tannehill. Jacksonville, I love me some Dougie P. Trevor Lawrence is going to actually have a coach this year, so I expect them to be better. But listen, I expect them to dominate the AFC South and go 3-1. Divisional opponents, I'll say 4-2. Right there, that puts me at 7 wins for this team. When I look at the rest of this makeup, you're playing Buffalo, you're playing the Rams. Seahawks aren't who we thought they were, and you're playing the AFC champions who beat you to go to the Super Bowl in Cincinnati Bengals. Patrick Mahomes is playing with a huge chip on his shoulder, and I think the one thing that I think people have to remember, especially those named John Shear, is that when Patrick Mahomes doesn't have a security blanket, this young man still finds ways to get the job done. Now, you talk a 4-game sample size, John. I understand what you're saying. And one of those games, yes, was against Jacksonville. But the bottom line is, at the end of the day, a W is a W. So I'm saying 12-5 for Kansas City just because I know what they're up against. I know what they're facing. And this division, as tough as it is just going to elevate the game that is Patrick Mahomes. With that being said, let me get the gentleman back in here. Yes, sir.
And another fact, and I'm glad Mike touched on this. We always talk about Mike Tomlin, like all the kind of kickback he gets. He's always on a hot seat. And then you look and go, this guy has never had a losing season since he's been in Pittsburgh, right? Since Andy Reid has been in Kansas City, he's won less than 10 games one time, and he went 9-7 that year. He won 11 games with Alex Smith as his quarterback and Jamal Charles as the leading receiver. That's a running back, if y'all don't know. He won 11 games with Jeremy Maclin as his number 1 receiver. He won 11 games with Dwayne Bowe. Like, we talking Patrick Mahomes. He did that with Alex Smith. We talking Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce still on the field with Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy. They'll be just fine. Like, this idea that Tyreek Hill, they supposed to know. Let's stop that.